Have you ever made a mistake, bad decision, or poor choice that left you feeling like, oh, man, I really stepped in it? And no matter how much energy you exert in trying to correct it, lessen the severity of what could happen, or even try and hide it as we'll do sometimes for whatever reason, you find yourself only enlarging and making it worse rather than making it better? Anybody? Okay, good. I'm not the only one. Well, that's what it's like when you're fighting against the forces of quicksand. Once you start walking and you step into some quicksand and you begin to sink, there's this sense of you're no longer in control of what's happening. And now you feel powerless. Why? Well, you weren't expecting for it to happen. You weren't planning on stepping into any quicksand and losing control of what you intended to do. You didn't. Here's another thing about quicksand I want you to know. It's not life-threatening. Quicksand is not life-threatening. The movies illustrate it to be such, but there's no vacuum that pulls you down beneath and out of existence. A pocket of quicksand normally stands about 2 to 3 feet in depth. In some cases, it may come up to your waist and it may come up to your chest. But there are rare cases, very rare cases, to where quicksand pockets engulf a full person. Now, I'm not saying quicksand is not dangerous. I'm not saying that at all. The danger in quicksand lies in this. It lies in your panic. When you step into it and you begin to sink, you immediately begin to panic because you weren't expecting. That's not a part of the plan, right? The same goes with your mistakes, your bad decisions, and your poor choices. You weren't expecting that outcome. You weren't planning on that outcome. So what do? You panic. There's a knee-jerk reaction. I got to get out of this quickly. Now, I've never physically stepped into quicksand and had to deal with it in that sense, but I've dealt with many quicksand life experiences. I've experienced quicksand in my life several times. I'm gonna share a few with you. Let me share some with you. I said that I'd never be a man to have multiple children from multiple women before I got married, right? But I ended up with 2 daughters from 2 different women. I didn't marry either. I stepped into that quicksand and I began to sink. I said that I'd never get married and be the type of husband that would dishonor and hurt my wife by cheating on her. My first wife, the day that we shared our vows, I had a girlfriend. I had a girlfriend the day that we exchanged vows, and I kept multiple girlfriends all throughout the marriage. Once again, I'm in the quicksand and I'm sinking. I'm struggling in the quicksand. Again, I said that, you know what? When I become a father, that I'd never be absent and not active in my children's lives. Now, I was always present and I was so active in their lives. Now, don't get me wrong. I love my babies and they knew that I loved them. But although I was physically present, sometimes I could be emotionally absent and not be present in the moment with them. I could be thinking about work. I could be thinking about the other girlfriends that I had. I could be thinking, I could just be somewhere else and not there. I'm in the quicksand. So I'm gonna share you one of the largest pools of quicksand that I fell into during my marriage, right? One weekend I was home and I decided, you know what, I'm gonna be a good husband. I'm gonna be the father. I'm gonna do the family man thing, right? So I'm sitting around with my family and I'm listening to them share memories. They're telling stories and I'm laughing and I'm listening to the stories. I'm laughing and I'm listening to the stories and I'm listening to the stories and I'm listening to the stories and I'm listening to the stories. And you know, like in the movies, when they pull the lens back in slow motion and everything, the main character is like, they're looking at everything and they can't believe what's going on around them. I was watching my family talk about being a family without me. And what hurt me the most was I could have prevented that. I actually gave them permission to be a family without me because you know what? I was so busy working 40 plus hours, wanting to give them a lifestyle rather than living life with them. I had my mind on the girlfriends that I was dealing with on the outside of my wife. I had my mind on, oh, I didn't mention this pitfall. I would binge drink on the weekends and do cocaine. Oh, I was in the quicksand and I was struggling. I was struggling. I was sinking, and I was actually, because you know, quicksand, it doesn't immediately grab you and pull you under. It gradually closes in. And the more you struggle and fight against it, the more intensity of the strength occurs. It gets stronger and it wraps around you even more. So back to the story. Now, there's going to be an upside to this. I know this just sounds depressing. I like this dude right here. He going to get married and have a girlfriend. He had multiple kids before he got married. He says he loves his kids, but you would think that after having that weekend, I'd make a 180-degree change, right? That I'd do an about face. I'd like to tell you I did, but I didn't. I mean, I did good for some months and then I went back to my ways. I did good for some months. I went back to my ways. I do good and I come back to my ways. So eventually you can guess my marriage collapsed. We ended in divorce. And in that divorce, the kids decided that they wanted to go with their mother too, because you know what? They were tired of all of the disappointments. Me not showing up where I said I was going to show up at the time I was going to show up. Me not doing what I said I was going to do when I said that I was going to do it. So they left. And here I am, sinking deeper and deeper into the quicksand. So there is a turnaround. I pulled myself out. I was able to get out. And it was really by the means of, I just had to, man, I went into a little depression and I had to cry out to God. I gave my life to Christ. That was the first part of me pulling myself or being allowed to be rescued, allowing myself to be rescued from the quicksand. And then I got around a lot more godly men that could give me some godly wisdom and counsel to help me get back to my journey. So what happened was this. I gave my ex-wife the apology that she deserved, and it wasn't one of those apologies of like how I got caught before. Oh, I'm not going to do this again. No, I gave her the apology that she deserved for my disrespect and my dishonor in the marriage and not honoring our commitment to each other. Me not honoring my commitment to her, rather. I had to give an apology to my kids, and I had to do that individually because what happened to them or what they live with affected each one of them differently. So I had to give an individual apology to each one of them. And now me and my ex-wife, we're good friends now. We're on good terms. My kids, they're adults now. We're able to be friends. But my fear was that, you know what, because of all they saw and what I did, that they weren't going to love me and they wouldn't want to bother with me later in life. But that didn't happen. I was able to get out of the quicksand and I was rescued. Here, I want to give you two act accordingly before I leave you. The first act accordingly will be this. It's really for single men, young men and single men. Your singleness, understand this, man. It is not for random moments of fun. Your singleness is not for random moments of a fun. It's for you to understand your strengths and your weaknesses, for you to know your likes and your dislikes. It's for you to develop self-control and practice restraint with your impulses and your urges. That's what it's for. It's for you to develop self-control and restraint when it comes down to your impulses and your urges. It's for you to develop long-term stability in your spiritual well-being, your emotional and mental health, and also just your physical health. You want to develop an honorable name and reputation around yourself. And I can't express this more than anything. There's just three things that I believe a man should follow. A man should be following the path that he should be walking. And that is this. Apply yourself to being a man of honor and stability. Apply yourself to being a man of honor and stability in your life, and for long-term stability, not for immediate gratification. That's the first thing. The second thing would be, when you begin to date with purpose. Date with purpose. You want to become a husband before you become a father. That's number three. You want to become a father last. You want to apply yourself to becoming a man of honor and reliability, stability. You want to date with purpose because you're looking to be a husband, not have a bunch of random relationships along the way. You're dating for purpose. You want to become a husband first, and then you become a father. You don't want to become a father and then maybe become a husband, become a father and a father and a father, and somewhere along the line you become a husband. This creates a strong family structure and not a lot of broken homes. All right, that was my first act accordingly. Act accordingly 2. This is how you deal with the quicksand when you fall into it, because you will fall into some pockets of quicksand throughout your life experience. The first thing you need to know is, when you step into some quicksand, don't panic. When you make the mistake, the bad decision, even the poor choice, don't panic. Don't have a knee-jerk reaction and try and just move impulsively to free yourself or hide what you've done. You don't want to panic. You want to remain calm. You want to shift your focus. This is number 2. You want to shift your focus from blame and regret. You don't want to think about, oh man, if I didn't do that, I wouldn't be in this. No, you want to shift your focus from what got you there to thinking about solutions. You don't want to dwell on what got you there. You don't want to stay in the past. You want to look to the future. You want to look to think about the things that's going to get you out of this situation. So you need to be thinking strategically. And sometimes, most times, just like with actual quicksand, you're probably not going to really pull yourself out. You're going to need support. So that brings me to number 3, support. There are always going to be some low-hanging branches or limbs that might be around the area of the quicksand that you're in, right? Or if you're close enough to solid ground, you can place your hands on the solid ground and use that as support to get yourself out. What does support look like in real life? Support in real life will look like an accountability partner or an accountability group. You need to confide in somebody that can give you wise, godly counsel. You want somebody that's going to give you wise, godly counsel. You don't want somebody to just give you advice and suggestions that's going to make you sink even deeper in the quicksand or make you go down even quicker. You don't want somebody to accelerate and make worse what you're already in. You want somebody who has already who's been pulled out of the quicksand before, and they know the safe ways to get out. They know the strategies that'll be helpful to you and not have you still struggle. So you want that support from somebody who can give you wise, godly counsel. So that's a coach or a mentor or a group. That's act accordingly number 2. What do you do when you find yourself in the quicksand? Don't panic. You want to shift your focus from blame, regret, and how you got there to thinking about, think about solutions, strategies. How do I get out of this? How do I get out of this? I'm Daniel J. Williams, men's mindset and performance coach. I show men how to reframe the way they view making mistakes, bad decisions, and poor choices. And more importantly, how to course correct and pivot out of those mistakes, bad decisions, and poor choices. Because your perception of anything, it either amplifies or it minimizes the value of your ability to function and perform. Once again, I'm Daniel J. Williams. If you'd like to find out more about myself or Act Accordingly Men's Mindset and Performance, you can do so at www.actaccordingly.com. www.actaccordingly.com. There you can find all my social media handles. You'd be able to get my email, how to get in contact with me for maybe a discovery call. Perhaps you'd like to book me or invite me out to one of your events and speak to some men. I'm open to it. Go to my website and you can find everything you need to know about me, Act Accordingly Men's Mindset and Performance, my social media handles, and how to contact me for a discovery call, how to work with me, or even book me for an engagement. Quicksand is going to come in your life. It's inevitable. But I don't want you to panic. It's not life-threatening. Just like there's no pockets of quicksand that consumes a person and pull them under, your mistakes, your bad decisions, and even the poor choices, they don't have to take full control of you.